ancient, and you learn from a tea master. So there are several different schools in Japan, and each school has masters who are teaching how to make a cup of tea. It's very beautiful. I've done it several times. I have a friend who's a tea ceremony master, and when he demonstrates tea ceremony to Western people, he always quotes a Japanese proverb, phrase, which comes from the tea ceremony, and this is the phrase: mono o daiji ni shite, jibun o daiji ni suru. And it means it means being careful with things is being careful with yourself, or taking care of things or caring for things is caring for yourself. And in the tea ceremony, they're very careful with everything, very slow, beautiful action. It's beautiful and it makes you feel very calm even watching. But that phrase comes from Buddhism originally. The tea ceremony is in some way encapsulates, contains Buddhist principles. And it's very interesting. It doesn't say, the phrase doesn't say, if you are careful with things, then you will be careful with yourself. Or it doesn't say, be careful with things, then you can be careful with yourself. It says, being careful with things is being careful with yourself. And that's completely different. We usually think of myself and others, me and things, me and the world. And sometimes we think we concentrate on me, sometimes we concentrate on the world. If we concentrate too much on ourselves, we say we're selfish. I hope you can understand the words, yeah? And if we concentrate on everything else and forget ourselves, there is an English word, altruistic, or selfless. And many religions encourage us to be selfless for others. However, the teachings of Buddhism suggest that taking care of others is taking care of ourselves. And this is, I think, quite a new way of thinking for Western culture. In Western culture, we're always thinking of process. So I take care of myself, then I will take care of other people, or so on. But this tea ceremony phrase says, taking care of things is taking care of yourself. Doing something for other is doing something for yourself. Same thing. Very strange. Anyway, that's it. Now, same subject, but a different point of view. So it's the same theme. In the early Buddhist writings, which were written in a language called Pali, which is dialect of Sanskrit, there are many stories of the Buddha talking to people. I guess they came to see him and asked him questions. And there's one conversation between the Buddha and a man called Katyayana. And if you read in the Pali Sutras, you can find this story. And I forgot what Katyayana's question is, but I remember the Buddha's answer. He said, Katyayana, I don't teach ideas, and I don't teach physical things. My teaching is the way of the middle. And this seems to be the first time that the way of the middle is recorded in Buddhist teachings. But it's become a very common phrase to describe the Buddhist teachings, the middle way. And the Buddha said to Katyayana, I don't teach idealism, the teachings of ideas. I don't teach materialism, the teachings of physical things. My way is in the middle. Oh, so okay, the middle. Well, actually, it's very clear to see this middle way in what we're doing this weekend. Very clear and very simple. When we've been sitting in Zazen, I think everybody notices two states. One state, you're not looking. Your eyes are open, but you're not seeing, or maybe your eyes are closed. And you're inside. Maybe you're thinking, maybe you're dreaming, maybe you're sleeping, but your energy is inside. And when your energy is inside, even your eyes are open, you're not looking at the wall or wherever. And we all experience that. And then sometimes we're looking out, we see something out the window, or we're a little bored and we look at people beside us from our side of our eyes. Or our legs are so painful, it brings us out of ourself into the external world. And usually the whole of Zazen is just switching from one to the other, then back to one, then back to the other. So sometimes we spend a long time inside ourselves, and then we kind of, look around for a bit, and then sit again, and then we spend a long time inside ourselves again, thinking maybe, or thoughts are, and then, so like 1, 2, 1, 2. So we can say one state is the mental state, the spiritual state, and the other state is the physical state. And in that Buddha's early story, he was referring to something in the middle between those two. In his case, he was talking about teachings, but he was teaching about two states, the mental state and the physical state. So he says he's teaching something in the middle. What's in the middle between the mental state and the physical state? Well, it's very, very difficult to see because it's very subtle. And I'd like to illustrate what I mean by imagining walking on a... Do you know what a slack line is? Or a rope? Or riding a bicycle? Or skating? In other words, balancing. When we first tried to walk on a slack line, we put our foot on the... and it goes... woo, 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 woo. So we either go this way, fall off, or that way, fall off. We can't find the middle. How do we learn to find the middle? We keep trying, and we keep trying. It's like riding a bicycle. When you put a small child on the bicycle, they go this way and they go that way. And then you put some small wheels on the back, and then they slowly learn that between this way and that way there's a middle. And it's like a mystery. Suddenly we find there's a middle. And then we can stay in the middle for a little while on the slack rope. So for a little while we can stay. And then we have to try again. If we practice and practice and practice, slowly we find that we can actually stand in this middle, which we couldn't even see at the beginning. That there was a middle between these two. We couldn't feel it, we couldn't notice it, but it was there. It's kind of balance. In Zazen, the situation is the same. Between the internal state that we sit in and the external state we sit in, there is another state. It's very subtle. Just sometimes, maybe for 1 second, maybe for 1 minute, we find that we're not inside, we're not outside. We're not looking, but we see everything. We're not thinking, but we're aware of everything. And in that state, there is no inside and no outside. Just like when we learn to balance, there's no this side and that side. There's only the middle. And if we practice, the more we practice, the wider this subtle state becomes. No inside, no outside. No left, no right. Even if we practice Zazen for the first time, we experience it. When you stand on the slack line for the first time, you experience it, but you can't catch it. Woo, 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 woo. It's there. I'm going to try again. Ooh, it's there. I'm going to get that middle. So I think it's a very nice way to think about Zazen, to think about it, because I'm telling you model. However, we shouldn't think that this beautiful middle way I'm talking about, when you find it, no inside, he said, no outside, he said. You're not thinking, but you're aware of everything. I want it, I want it. It's not like that, because if you notice riding a bicycle or walking on the slack line, if you don't wobble, you can't balance. So in our mind, we think of the perfect middle way. But in reality, if we don't wobble, we can't find it. Our mind tells us we shouldn't wobble. My zazen shouldn't be thinking. My zazen shouldn't be looking out the window. But if we don't wobble between thinking and looking out the window, we can't find the middle. But when we notice the middle and practice the middle, we don't look inside so much, we don't look outside so much. We learn to balance. So often I call Zazen practicing balance. But practicing balance is not practicing some kind of perfect balance. It's practicing how to wobble a little. Because without wobbling, there is no balance. There's no perfection, only inside our heads. In reality, we wobble. We become too extreme, become too active, become too passive, we become too excited, we become too depressed. So we think, I should get rid of all these. But if you get rid of them, you can never balance. However, you can stop being so excited and stop being so depressed, and then your wobbles are not so big. You can stop spending all your time thinking during Zazen, or all your time looking out the window, and just let yourself wobble a smaller amount. So we can say this is learning to balance. So not inside and not outside, but a third or middle way, which is very subtle. And the story about the Japanese tea ceremony is expressing the fact that being careful outside, being careful inside is the same thing. Because outside and inside, when you're balanced, is the same. That's all I've got to say now. What do you think?
I love the quote, what you said. You can put on Facebook and you get many likes.
Yeah, then I think, I'm great. So I put another quote on Facebook and nobody likes it. So then I think, I'm no good. Then I put another Facebook quote on, it's great. Then I wobble backwards and forwards. I'm great, I'm not great. I'm great, I'm not great. I'm fantastic, I'm useless. Wobbling. So we wobble through life. Everybody wobbles through life. Some people, if we make very big wobbles, our life is unpleasant. Well, no, it's very exciting sometimes, very miserable other times. So we can say that practicing balance, or the Buddha's middle way, is not a philosophical idea, it's something real. The middle way between extremes. Not the middle way between extreme thinking, but the middle way between real extremes, like walking on a slack line. And we do learn it if we practice. So if we practice Zazen, just sitting, and we are careful to allow our posture to lengthen our spine and sitting upright, then we will notice. And when we notice that balance and we learn it so that we can say, I know where that place is, then we can say we've mastered Zazen. And I think maybe it takes most people about 10 years. Maybe 10 years. Which is about the same as it takes to master anything. To know completely what you're doing, whether you're making furniture or practicing yoga or whatever.
You mentioned the middle way between idealism and materialism. Are there some other opposites which we have to balance in this middle way?
All opposites. Up,
All
down,
opposites, okay.
hot, cold, like, dislike, love, hate.
Mm-hmm.
All opposites. The middle way between all opposites. So we can always find two opposites and think we should find the middle way between. But we can't find the middle way by thinking about the middle way, because the middle way really is not between two ideas, but it's between two states, real states. So the spiritual state and the physical state.
This being in the middle, you would call awareness, or?
I like to call it wholeness,
Okay.
but you can call it awareness, you can call it conscious awareness, you can call it being in the flow, you could call it enlightenment, but I don't like that word. And it's not permanent. You can't find this middle way and say, okay, I found it, now I got it the whole time. Nothing's permanent. The Buddha said nothing's permanent. It's true. The middle way's not permanent. So constantly we should wobble and find the middle. We can't find the middle in our heads, because the head is one side, body is the other side. Ideas are one side, physical things are the other side. Between both there is something. That something doesn't exist in Western philosophy. Maybe Schopenhauer touched on this kind of...
From East.
And maybe some American pragmatists touch on it. But it's something very subtle. Our culture is polarized. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm good, you're bad. And Christianity, I feel, has increased that polarization, because the good is here and the evil is here. So if you're not good, then you must be evil. But Buddhism says there's a big area in the middle where real people are living. Real people are mixture. Everything. good, evil, happy, sad, all mixed together. So between heaven and hell, William Blake.
You used to have some expression about life. You say sometimes the life is
Severe.
severe.
Yes.
Severe.
Yes.
Can you tell about this expression something in
You
this kind of
Do I need to tell you? Do I need to tell you? Sometimes life is severe.
Okay.
Sure.
Drsný, no. Na lítost.
Mhm.
The balance state is severe. also,
Severe.
sometimes.
Oh, I don't know. No, I don't
or
think
is
so.
or is some extension or is some extreme from some period or some moments. The severeness of life.
Yeah, well, life is severe, isn't it? Sometimes, and it's wonderful also at the same time. So it's what it is, but we can say sometimes if we feel life is severe. It's hard sometimes, very hard, and then sometimes it's effortless. If you're a kind of character who is happy alone and you can go and live alone, maybe it's easy to find the middle because there's no disturbances. But most people don't have that kind of character. So in the middle of society, with being pushed this way and attracted that way by everything, smartphones, advertising, food, pulling us around. We have to find the middle. So many people think if they would go alone and live alone, it would be easier. But of course there's a whole different set of problems. If you take away all the things in life which pull you left, right, and have nothing, then there are people. We can read about very great philosophers who were hermits, somebody who lives completely alone. But I think was their character. But another way is to find balance in the middle of all the things which are pulling you this way and that way.
I'd like to ask you, in Eastern tradition or Asian tradition, there is the role of master or teacher is very important.
Yes.
I would say we are living in our reality. We have no too many masters
Yes.
around us.
Yes.
It's good to have from time to time settings like this, but
Yes.
then you go home, you may have paper masters.
Yeah.
So the question is it possible to survive without the teacher? Without,
Well,
just
Yes.
to be just with paper
Yeah.
teacher?
No. Be with you. Be with your teacher. You are the teacher.
Okay.
So.
I am another teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I'm teaching about the middle. So, if you practice the middle, after some years, you will feel, I know them. I know the middle. Not I understand the middle, but I know the middle. Just like I can skate, I can ride a bike. I know I get on the bike, I can ride it. Ooh, that's riding. This is riding, not this.
Make progress without having another teacher.
Well, a teacher just reminds us of our own teacher. So we need to discover ourselves. The Buddha said, follow your own light. So find your own light, find your own balance. But if you have somebody who can keep reminding you, it's nice. So that's a teacher. If you can't find a teacher anywhere, then you have to live without one. But there are so many teachers now, the question is which one?
Yeah.
And boy, don't ask me.
The saying says, when the student is ready, then the teacher will appear.
When the student is ready, teacher will appear.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
So we just need to be ready.
You are very good in Buddhist text.
Yes, I'm
On the other side, you hate them. At the same time. Sometimes he's saying Buddha is rubbish.
But there are lots of great people teaching.
You still have all the few of them.
For me, it's necessary to have a practice, because I'm not such. Well, I discovered Buddhism through physical things, not through spiritual. I wasn't on the spiritual journey, and so.
What do you mean by this? That you discovered through physical?
Well, many people reading about Buddhism, reading many books, thinking, listening to many spiritual teachers, and then they discover Buddhist teachings, for example. But I wasn't like that. I discovered it because I discovered that middle state. I discovered the middle state through my physical activity in
Zazen?
climbing.
Good.
So I discovered the state, but I didn't recognize it. But as soon as I met this old Japanese monk who was my teacher, Nishijima, and he talked about it, I knew that he was talking about the same thing. And I thought, how come he's talking about the same thing that I'm feeling in rock climbing? That's crazy. But I knew immediately it's the same thing. I didn't read any books. I didn't know anything about Buddhism, but I heard him say something about the state in action, the center of action, the stillness of action, the balance in action. And my real life, I was 33, I think, I found that. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I knew it. So there may be different different paths to find what you're looking for. The advantage for me is that I don't read lots of books. I didn't read lots of books, so I didn't get confused by many different writings. disadvantages, I know very little about anything. Other teachings. Only maybe recently I started looking at other teachings to see what they're saying. So advantage and disadvantage. But that was my experience. If only we had a big chocolate cake.
Did you heard about this guy? I think his name is Alex Honnold. I'm not sure. He's free solo climber.
He's what?
Free solo climber. He
Free solo climber.
yeah, he climbs without rope.
Oh yeah, scary.
And recently he climbed El Capitano, the walls.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yesterday.
yeah. I saw. Yeah.
Crazy, right?
No, he's
It's like,
he's okay.
yeah,
He's in the flow.
it's like 1 kilometer, 1 kilometer.
Yeah, but you can't stay in the flow forever.
Yes.
So maybe one day he'll die.
Probably.
Maybe it's good, very probable. But he's okay. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I did. I remember one summer, I was very fit. I was very young, and I was very good at doing what I was doing, and I felt like that. So we climbed without ropes, and there's no possibility to make a mistake. The mistake doesn't exist anywhere. So if you're in that state, it's okay. It's not a state where you think, I can't fall off, I'm going to be okay. You don't think about it. It's just everything
Step by step.
moves. Everything moves with you. You move with everything. Dogen describes it in the 13th century. He says you and the universe move together. He says sometimes the universe moves you, sometimes you move the universe, sometimes you and the universe move together. So that's being in the flow. Okiten hoke, yeah. He writes about it in a very metaphorical way, but that's what he means. So if you're in the flow, you're in the flow.
I know this state. And he planned for it like for 1 year before he did it.
Well, he practiced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And planned like.
You need to practice.
Planned the way in which he will.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of
because
course.
It's crazy.
Well, he's a professional.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what? Sometimes I have to climb a 5-meter ladder, and I'm super scared. You know, so I'm afraid that I will die. So I have to be. It's for me the same thing, because just don't think about how, high you are. Just keep going, and just there's no, like you said, there's no mistake. If only the difference is that you cannot die falling off a ladder.
Just not if you're scared. It's not the same as if you're scared. In the flow, you're not scared.
Yeah, so not in the flow. When I'm climbing a 5-meter ladder.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, okay.
But still, to be able to climb it, despite my fear,
Oh,
I
yeah.
just have to keep
Yeah,
going.
there's a famous book.
Yeah.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. That's very good advice. Yeah, an important advice. But if in the flow, there's no fear, or there's everything. So you can't say there's no fear, but fear is not separate from enjoyment, not separate from anything. You feel whole. There's only one thing. But coming back to this middle way, middle state, it's not special. It's there. We pass through it. When we go from depressed to excited, we pass through it. When we go from physical desire to mental thinking, we pass through it. We pass through it millions of times every day, but we can't notice it, and we don't see how valuable it is. So people go from high to low in their work, in their life, up to down, tense to relaxed, tense to relaxed, and every time they pass through this middle state for 1 second. So learning to notice it and to maintain it is the practice.
Can I ask you maybe one other question, because I realized.
Are you asking me another question?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, the same ideas, but Nishijima wrote in his book, Noticing the Real Dragon, or Meet the Real Dragon.
To meet the real dragon.
I have this feeling that he have some intention to hope with Zazen we can change the world.
Yes.
And to be more balanced,
Yes.
to be more in the moment.
Yes.
And I felt that is somehow his dream.
Yes.
It's possible or not?
Because he used to say, "Oh, everybody will practice Zazen." Oh, yeah.
No, okay, but we are processing. The world is since
What's happening?
thousands of years processing somewhere, and then the idea it's not so stupid.
No,
I
it's
think,
not stupid.
But I don't
think
know it's
he's-
realistic. Or
He's a Japanese
because the
man.
people are here, the people are from politician side and so on, and maybe
Yeah.
it will
But the world
spread.
is different.
It will spread. You are
Yeah.
normal. You're not so classical master, or you are
Yeah.
in a society and
Yeah.
so on. Maybe
I'm wobbling.
Yes, but maybe in 1,000 years it's real.
Yeah, maybe. But I think his vision was very strongly connected with Dogen. He loved Dogen. He spent 60 years studying Dogen's writings and teachings. So his vision was, Buddhism will spread. But I think the world is entering a new paradigm now. But it's not Buddhism, because balance
Yeah,
doesn't belong to Buddhism.
yeah. Like,
So
this
in a
is not
way,
important.
we
It's
have
not-
to give up.
This is not important, okay, but this kind of balanced state.
The truth is everywhere. The true teachings are everywhere, not just Buddhist teachings.
Yeah.
So this kind of positive view of the whole world or cosmos,
Yes.
I admired very much reading Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. He was a Jesuit, he was
Yes.
speaking about it.
Yes,
On the other side, when you are observing what's going on in the world,
Yes.
I'm a little bit more skeptical. sometimes it seems to me like they have it in Hinduism, these yugas,
Yes.
4 yugas, and now they say it's like cosmic carpet. It's always opening and then going back. And
Yes.
they say now we are in Kali Yuga state, which is 432,000 years, and we just started first 4,000 years. So according to this, next 428,000 years will be wars and wars, and then will come again this golden age. So it's a bit pessimistic view, I would say.
400 years of wars.
Just relax.
Find a middle.
Progressive Slovakia in this state of,
But all human endeavour, sending people to the moon, or climbing mountains, or inventing software code, all human activity teaches us about ourselves. Even you're a computer programmer, you learn about yourself. If you send a rocket to Mars, they're finding out what a human being is. So I think it's impossible for us not to reach somewhere, but I don't know where.
But then you see Donald Trump and
Small.
you are shaking.
But
Yeah, but
Kali Yuga is
wobbling.
1,000 of second.
You know,
It's not so
society is
important,
wobbling.
1,000
He is the
second.
man of Kali Yuga,
Yes, yes, yes.
But societies go left,
It's only
bit
one
left,
point on the
bit
carpet.
right.
It's only a small point.
Yeah. So we wobble. But the world wobbles. The world does wobble actually as it turns around. It wobbles.
But I think this kind of attitude that have had Nishijima is okay.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe we need some belief or something. Maybe it's not a real belief or
Well, the world is developing, but for me, the only person I can develop is me. That's it. My workshop is me.
Because nowadays you can find that many also young people are looking for some retro styles, and retro is very modern. What is retro? Retro is
Fashion.
habits. Okay, there are very
It's only fashion.
conservative habits in eating, also diets, and so coming very back because they feel something they lost.
Yeah, well, they did.
The connection.
Yeah, because we're rushing forward so much, so fast,
And
we
then it's okay to
lose
be-
things, dropping out the basket here. Oh, I didn't notice. That's very valuable. I bring it back again.
Yeah.
Food, lifestyle, heating, cooling, everything. Now they discover that maybe to keep buildings cool, we can use very old, ancient methods. Medicine, we can find ancient Chinese ideas are useful. So yes. So we can be optimistic. But to be optimistic is not necessary to believe the world is going to be like this or like that. Just be optimistic, that's all. The sun is shining now. Oh, good, it's raining again.
Back to Russia.
Ah, it's windy. I like the wind. Oh no, it's cold. So,
This is also the question: politician for Russia or West? Still wobbling. Slovakia is wobbling
oh yeah.
between two. Oh, I think still.
Well, yeah, why not? Western political systems are not so fantastic. So it's good to wobble, because without wobbling we can't find any balance with everything. So in Christianity, I understand that you should have faith, and if your faith is complete, then it's great. But in Buddhism, we should wobble. Oh, I believe. No, I don't believe. Oh, I'm sure. No, I'm not sure. I'm doubting. So that's the best situation. I'm great. I'm going to win. Oh, I wonder if I'm going to make it. Everything. Wobbling is the best situation. But not big wobbles.
This book written by this Catholic priest is exactly about what you are just saying.
Good man.
Without wobbling or trembling,
Yes.
there is no fear. Things
Yes.
are no fear. Yeah.
Yes. That's right.
It's like with dogmatics or fanatics. Fanatics
Yes.
are actually very weak.
Very weak.
Very
Yeah.
weak because they are not able
They're fixed.
to embrace contradictions. They
Yes.
will be broken immediately.
Yeah. Exactly.
I experienced it so many times that people who are so firm without trembling,
Yes.
they didn't have any doubts,
Yeah.
they were broken very soon.
Yes.
Very soon.
But they can have a power for many, many years.
Yeah,
That should
exactly.
Yeah.
to count. Like
Yeah.
Hitler was very strong, and then so many people.
Yeah, but you know, this many years is only a very short time in the history of
Yeah.
civilization.
Short time, yeah.
So these, you know, we have to take a bigger view in that way. Anyway, it's time to stop. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.